like you heard that trees were very important in my life. There were lots of fruit trees in our yard, various colors, and one of the guava trees was my refuge whenever I was upset or anything, just climb up this tree. And it was favorite because the branches start at the very bottom, and the branches are thin and kind of elastic, so if they don't they gently let you down. So if you take too much of a risk. So that is the property of this guava tree, which is also the topic of my first poem, Guava Tree. Branches skinny and flexible, start close to the base. I can take risks. When I leap more than I should, the branch gently bends without breaking under my little body's weight, until I can jump off without breaking any bones. But when I tell this story, I leave out the part where the ground wasn't as soft, and the hot wind blew where the roots twisted just underfoot, like ropes that wanted to trip me. I forget that the branch bent, weary of bearing a load heavy with eye-water dew. When I do reach the top, my tush wedged high, close to where the bird's beak peeks at the red flesh, the fruit tricks the bird into swallowing its pebbly seeds, to send its babies on its wings to far corners, to moist dirt, so another girl at another time could climb up in search of sky. There are lots of people inside her home, but they have no ears, and the lighting is a bit low. What she thought was a rope was a snake, invisible in the grass, its poison burning up her soles. She dangles her legs high where the wind rocks like a mother, and she can dream of being the seed in a bird's gizzard. So second poem is actually an ekphrastic poem which was inspired by this art which was hanging at a gallery in Chagrin Falls. There was this artist who printed a face of a person on a leaf of pawpaw. And no paints were used. It was just a natural chlorophyll beaten into this shape, and it's beautiful. And pawpaw, like you know, is a very unusual plant which has kind of escaped tropics and has started growing in cold northeast Ohio, and it is very asymmetrical, and it's like very unusual plant. So this poem is inspired by that. Make me into a leaf. After one looks at the veins of a leaf, after one has taken all the flesh out, they look remarkably like a tangle of tubes in human lungs. Nose for the body, stomata for the leaf. One's inhale is others' exhale. A circular exchange, a delicate balance, life-giving fractals, the same. When one looks at a Hindu temple, it generally has a spire called Vimana, arising from a point where the horizontal human axis meets the upward flying divine, as if pointing an index finger to the sky, summoning an eternal sun to spin a pigment in your skin. Your heart, pendant merging with petiole, anchored and yet flexible, to move with the wind, an umbilicus to the universe, nature painting nature with the chromatophore found within, we hammer impermanence in place. My next poem, which is just a moment when I was immigrating to Cleveland, hovering about Cleveland, January. So you know how the Cleveland looks like in January, it's like the January. One January flight, fasten your seatbelt. There is no getting out now. Gaze trained backwards and forward. Barf bag ready. all alone in a jumbo jet full of strangers. Goodbye, mellow yellow of the sun, dropping like a cannon into the Arabian Sea. I shall catch up with you soon by the icy waters of Lake Erie. And I came to this country to go to Case Western Reserve University for molecular biology. And so when you enter as a student, you first go to this window. Your first interaction with the school is this administrator who asks you a bunch of questions. And what's going on in the air right now, like Rubio saying, oh, you are here to study, so study. Like as if there is nothing, no past you have, or you don't have a little, like a latent thing in your mind, and you're not a whole human, you're just a robot who is going to study. But so this poem is that moment when you're standing in this window. Permitted to enter as a student. Aliens are not just of extraterrestrial type. I was the alien, an official designation stamped on an immigrant's papers. But you will need to buy an insurance, they said. For what? I said. To send your body home in case you died. A basket of ashes floating down the Ganges flashed before my eyes, my father's trembling hand signing papers for the box on the ground. Dreams of doing science undulating like helical double strands, running anti-parallel to the reality on the land. Hostile gale against my unfamiliar voice, my name always lost in etc., et al., et al., et al. The next moment is a few years after that, when you settle down as into a new culture, into a new community, new country, and you're kind of settling and you're having a very calm moment. It's an evening wander. I pass by an open window, sweet melody spills into dusky blue as a youth in his bedroom plays violin. I am magically transported, as if by Aladdin's hands, to what I would play, to when I would play, Hawaiian guitar on the bench in air heavy with jasmine. That yearning that rises in my throat is a tune like color beige, like silent spaces between two notes that extend underneath other colors. I hear my mother on another continent conversing with my father in the quiet of the night in a room adjacent to mine. I'm going to read two more poems. So this is the last one, and what's that? Oh, we are saving the last two for the end of the program. Okay. All right. So we are saving the last two to the end of the program.